Kyoto 1665, the final strike of the tournament. Takashi's wooden sword snapped in half. 30 seconds. 7 years of training gone. The crowd went silent. His opponent smiled. That night, Takashi learned something the Book of 5 Rings never explains. Discipline doesn't make you better. It erases you. Miyamoto Musashi didn't become legendary by training harder. He became it by destroying who he was. And that's the price nobody warns you about. Extreme discipline doesn't improve your life. It replaces you. By the end of this story, you'll understand the 5 rings that separate warriors from men who only practice. By morning, Takashi realized something worse than failure. Comfort had been his real enemy. Chapter 1, The Awakening. Dawn came too early. Takashi hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw it. His wooden sword shattering, the champion's smirk, 400 people watching him fail, the sound of their silence louder than any cheering as he walked off the tournament platform with a broken weapon and broken pride. 7 years of training gone in 30 seconds. He dressed slowly, hands still trembling from yesterday's humiliation. The bruise on his ribs where the champion's strike had landed after breaking his guard throbbed with each breath. A physical reminder, a permanent mark of being average. Walking to the training hall felt like walking to execution. The other students were already training when he arrived. The moment Takashi entered, conversation stopped. Eyes turned away, not with anger but with pity. Somehow that was worse. Kenji, the youngest student at 16, approached carefully. Takashi, about yesterday, don't worry about it. Just don't. Takashi's voice came out harsher than intended. The boy retreated. Around the training hall, students returned to their practice, movements suddenly louder, more deliberate, filling the awkward silence with the sounds of wooden swords striking practice posts. No one looked at Takashi directly. He was invisible, not because they couldn't see him, but because seeing him was uncomfortable. Takashi moved to his usual training spot in the corner, the place where average students practiced, away from the advanced section where the real warriors trained. He picked up a practice sword and felt its weight. Solid, unbroken, unlike the one that had shattered yesterday, unlike him, he began basic cuts. Down strike, side strike, thrust. The movements he'd done 10,000 times. His form was technically correct. His master had told him so many times, "Your technique is adequate, Takashi. Your form is acceptable." Adequate, acceptable, average, the words that defined 7 years of his life. An hour passed, too. The other students cycled through their training. Advanced cutting, partner sparring, weapons work. Takashi just did basic cuts over and over, trying to find something in the repetition. Finding nothing except the hollow echo of wood-cutting air. At midday, Master Yamamoto's voice cut through the training hall. "Takashi, my quarters now." Every student stopped. The master never called anyone during training. Never interrupted the flow. 40 faces watched Takashi walk across the training floor, each step feeling heavier than the last. In Master Yamamoto's private room, the old man sat at a low table, tea already poured, 2 cups. He'd been waiting. Sit. Takashi sat back straight, eyes down, respectful position for receiving discipline, for hearing what he already knew, that he'd brought shame to the training hall, that his performance was unacceptable, that maybe he should consider a different path. "Show me your hands." The command surprised him. Takashi extended his hands. Calloused, yes, rough from years of gripping wooden swords, but not destroyed, not bleeding, not like the hands of someone who truly pushed beyond limits. Master Yamamoto studied them in silence. Then, 7 years you've trained here, 7 years of adequate effort. Tell me, what did you learn yesterday? Takashi's jaw tightened. That I'm not good enough. No, try again. That hard work isn't enough. Closer, but still wrong. The master sipped his tea, completely calm. Yesterday, you learned that you've been lying to yourself. You think you train hard. You don't. You train comfortably. There's a difference. The words hit like physical blows. Your father was a samurai. Master Yamamoto continued. Your grandfather, 7 generations of warriors, all died by 40, all buried with honor, all perfectly, completely average. They walked the warrior path sleepwalking, competent, honorable, unconscious. He leaned forward. You can be different, or you can be them. The choice is yours, but you must choose now, because yesterday broke something in you. I can see it. The question is, will you use that break to rebuild yourself, or will you use it as an excuse to quit? I don't want to quit, sensei. Takashi's voice cracked. I want to stop being average. I can't live like this anymore. Good, that's the first honest thing you've said in 7 years. Master Yamamoto set down his tea with deliberate precision. Miyamoto Musashi wrote the book of 5 rings after 60 duels to the death. After 30 years of wandering, after a lifetime of practice so extreme that normal people thought he'd gone mad. He didn't write about motivation. He wrote about the method. 5 rings, 5 principles that transform the soft into the savage. The master's eyes went hard. You asked me once what separates great swordsmen from good ones. Here's the answer. Great swordsmen train until their minds break, until they die inside, until discipline consumes them so completely that they become unrecognizable even to themselves. I want that. The words came out desperate, hungry. No, you want the result, the reputation, the victory. You don't want the price. What's the price? Everything you are. The person sitting here, the comfortable one who trains adequately, who's satisfied with acceptable, he has to die completely. And the person who replaces him, you won't recognize him. Your family won't recognize him. Normal people will think something's wrong with him. Silence filled the room. Outside, the sounds of the training hall continued. Students practicing, wooden swords striking, normal life proceeding. The life Takashi was about to leave behind, I'll pay it. He whispered. Master Yamamoto studied him for a long moment. Something changed in the old man's face. Not hope, but recognition. Like seeing a ghost of someone he'd known long ago. Then tomorrow, 3 hours before dawn, you begin Earth Ring. The first principle, brutal self-assessment. You will learn exactly how unconscious you've been, how much of your life you've spent asleep. Most students can't face that truth. It destroys them. He stood. Conversation over. Tonight, count every breath until you sleep. Tomorrow morning, tell me the number. If you can't, you weren't paying attention. If you weren't paying attention, you're still average. Earth Ring is about knowing the truth about yourself. Starting with the smallest thing, 1 breath, building to the biggest thing, your entire existence. Takashi bowed deeply. When he rose, Master Yamamoto was already at the door. 1 more thing. Bring your broken sword tomorrow. We'll burn it. Because the warrior who used that weapon, he's already dead. Tomorrow, we build someone new. That night, lying in darkness, Takashi began counting breaths. 1, 2, 3. His mind wandered after 7. He started over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lost count again. Frustration rose. He let it pass. Started over. This was going to be harder than any tournament. This was going to destroy him. He couldn't wait to begin. The warrior's path begins with a single breath. Are you counting yours? If Takashi's struggle speaks to you, if you feel the weight of being average, then you're ready. The journey starts now, with 1 conscious breath. Will you take it? Chapter 2. The principle. 7 days into Earth Ring, Takashi thought he was dying, not physically, mentally. The constant counting, tracking, observing every breath, every sword swing, every bite of food, every step walked. His mind screamed for rest, for unconsciousness, for just 1 hour of not knowing himself. The truth was worse than he'd imagined. Day 1 count, 12,840, 7 breaths, but he'd lost count 19 times. Missed hours, entire chunks of existence where he'd been present in body but absent in awareness. Day 7 count, 18,923 breaths. lost count 3 times, progress. But the data revealed something horrible. Of 18,000 breaths, he'd been fully present for maybe 2,000. The rest, mechanical, unconscious, animal, 10% alive, 90% sleepwalking. Master Yamamoto read the numbers without expression, and the sword swings, 1,000 each morning, time decreasing by 1 minute daily as instructed. Show me your hands. Takashi extended them. Now they were destroyed. Blisters torn open, reformed, torn again. Blood stained the wooden sword handle dark. Good. The master's voice held no sympathy. Pain keeps you honest. Earth ring is beginner's mind, not metaphorically, literally. You must see yourself as you actually are, not as you wish to be. What did you learn? That I'm barely conscious most of the time. Yes, and that I've been lying to myself about my effort. Yes, and Takashi's jaw tightened. That average was generous. I'm worse than average. I'm asleep. Master Yamamoto nodded slowly. Miyamoto Musashi wrote, "Know the smallest things and the biggest things, the shallow and the deep." Most students think this means study everything. Wrong. It means to see yourself completely. The smallest detail, one breath. The biggest truth, your entire existence is mostly unconscious. He walked to the window, looking out at the courtyard where Takashi had been swinging his sword every morning in the darkness. Your father was a samurai, but the path of the sword never found him. He walked it sleepwalking, died sleepwalking. Honorable, yes, but conscious, no. You can be different, or you can be him. The words cut deeper than any blade. Beginner's mind, the master continued, means beginner's mind because beginners see reality. They don't have the skill to hide behind, no experience to blur the truth. A master's worst enemy is the illusion of mastery. The moment you think you know yourself, you've stopped seeing yourself. He turned to face Takashi directly. From now until I tell you otherwise, you track everything, not just breaths and swings. Track your thoughts. When they wander, what triggers distraction? How long can you hold focus? Track your emotions. What causes anger? What creates fear? Track your body, energy patterns, pain points, sleep quality. You become a scientist studying the only subject that matters, yourself. Takashi felt something crack open inside his chest, not breaking, awakening, like eyes opening for the first time. Here's what the scrolls don't tell you. Master Yamamoto said quietly, "Beginner's mind isn't comfortable. Seeing yourself clearly is brutal. Most people run from self-knowledge their entire lives because the truth is unbearable. You're not as disciplined as you think, not as strong, not as present. The gap between who you believe you are and who you actually are. That gap is where average lives." He placed a small journal on the table between them. Every night, write what you learned about yourself that day. One truth minimum, no philosophy, no excuses, just fact. Today I noticed anger when criticized. Today I lost focus during repetitive tasks. Today fear made me hesitate in sparring. Build a map of your actual self, not your ideal self. Your real self. Takashi picked up the journal. The pages were blank, waiting like the person he hadn't yet become. "Sensei," he said slowly, "if I see all my weaknesses this clearly, won't that destroy my confidence?" Yes. The answer hung in the air. And that's exactly what needs to happen. False confidence is poison. It makes you stop growing. Real confidence comes later, after you've faced every weakness, every flaw, every failure, and continued anyway. First you must be destroyed, then rebuilt. Earth ring destroys, water ring rebuilds. Master Yamamoto moved toward the door, then paused. Tonight, write your first entry. Be honest. The warrior's path is walked alone, but you're not the first to walk it. Others have gone before. Others will come after. Each must face the same truth about themselves. When he left, Takashi opened the journal and wrote his first entry. Day 7, Earth Ring. Truth learned. I am asleep in my own life. Today I begin waking up. Outside, snow fell in silence. Inside, a warrior was being born. Are you tracking your life, or just living it unconsciously? The difference between a warrior and everyone else starts with one simple practice: observation. What truth about yourself are you avoiding today? Write it down, face it. That's where transformation begins. Chapter 3. The test, Week 2 of Earth Ring, broke something fundamental in Takashi's mind. The tracking had become total. He'd created a system. Sunrise sword practice, 1,000 swings, timed. Morning meditation, count breaths, note when mind wanders. Mid-day combat drills, track hesitations, note fear responses. Evening journal, record day's truths. Night meditation, observe dreams forming at the edge of sleep. The data was horrifying. His mind wandered every 7.3 seconds on average. Fear appeared 43 times daily. Small fears. Embarrassment, judgment from other students. His sword swings were mechanically correct, but emotionally absent. He was performing discipline, not embodying it. Then came the test he didn't know was coming. Master Yamamoto entered the training hall during morning practice, accompanied by a stranger. Tall, older, scarred face, with one eye white and dead. The man moved like water, like inevitability. "This is Kenzo," the master said. "He's passing through Kyoto. I told him we have a student attempting Earth Ring. He's offered to test you." Takashi's heartbeat spiked. He tracked it. Fear response number 44 of the day. Kenzo smiled without warmth. "Earth Ring is about knowing yourself. Let's see how much you know." He drew his wooden sword in a movement so smooth, it seemed like the weapon had always been in his hand. "Defend yourself. Every time I strike you, tell me what emotion you felt before the strike landed. If you can't name it, you're not tracking. You're pretending." The first strike came high. Takashi blocked, barely. Fear, second strike, low. Block, anger at myself for slow reaction. Third strike, faint then thrust, hit his ribs, anticipation. I was predicting your attack instead of seeing it. Kenzo's dead eye fixed on him. Good, again. For 30 minutes, Kenzo attacked. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes stopping mid. Strike to watch Takashi's face. Each time, Takashi had to name the internal state before defending the next attack. Doubt, pride, fear of pain, frustration, shame at being watched by other students. Every emotion tracked, every internal movement observed. His body was being beaten, but his mind stayed sharp, clinical, detached, observing the one being beaten as if from outside. Finally, Kenzo stopped. He was barely breathing heavy. Takashi was drenched in sweat, ribs bruising, hands shaking. "Yamamoto says you're serious about the 5 rings. Are you?" "Yes." "Why?" The question cut through everything. Takashi opened his mouth to give the answer he'd been telling himself, because he wanted to be great, because mediocrity was unbearable, because, "I don't know." The truth came out before he could stop it. "I thought I knew. Now I just know I can't go back to being unconscious. It's not even about greatness anymore. I can't unsee how asleep I was." Kenzo's expression shifted, something like respect, or maybe recognition. That's the real test. Not whether you can track emotions during combat, whether you've seen the truth and can't ignore it anymore. Once you see how much of your life you spend unconscious, sleep becomes unbearable. He sheathed his wooden sword with a clean snap. Musashi wrote that after his duel with Sasaki Kojiro, the most famous fight in Japanese history, the one that made his legend, he disappeared into a cave for 2 years, not to celebrate, to analyze why he'd almost lost, the winner studying his own near defeat. That's Earth Ring mastery. That's beginner's mind, never being satisfied with seeing yourself, always looking deeper. Kenzo turned to Master Yamamoto. "He'll do. Most students quit when they realize Earth Ring never ends. This one looks like he's starting to understand. It's not supposed to end. Self-knowledge is eternal. The day you think you know yourself completely is the day you've stopped being a warrior." He left without another word. Takashi stood in the center of the training hall, body screaming pain, mind eerily calm. The other students had stopped training to watch. He could feel their judgment. Why does Takashi get special tests? Why does the master care about him? He tracked it. Emotion number 47, social anxiety, desire for approval, then let it pass like wind through bamboo. That night, he wrote in his journal, Week 2 truth, I started this to be better than others. And now, I just want to be conscious in my own existence. Competition is ego. Awareness is warrior practice. The goal isn't to be great. The goal is to be awake. But awareness brought new torment. Now that he could see his unconscious patterns, the mental drift, the emotional reactivity, the physical tension, he couldn't stop seeing them. Every distraction noted, every weakness catalogued, every failure observed. His mind became a battlefield between the observer and the observed. The part that tracked and the part that was tracked. Both were him, neither was him. The separation created something new, a third presence watching both. Master Yamamoto had warned him, Earth Ring destroys the illusion of self. What Takashi didn't know was that destruction feels like death. The person he'd been, comfortable in his mediocrity, safe in his unconsciousness, was dying. And the person replacing him hadn't fully formed yet. He existed in the gap, the void between death and rebirth. Late that night, he woke from a dream he couldn't remember. His first thought, how many breaths did I take while sleeping? The question was insane, the question was perfect. He'd crossed a threshold. Normal people don't track their breathing while unconscious. Normal people don't analyze their dreams. Normal people don't see every moment as data about themselves. He was no longer normal. He didn't know if that made him a warrior or just crazy. Maybe there was no difference. The gap between who you think you are and who you actually are, that's where transformation lives. Most people never look. They're too afraid of what they'll find. But you're reading this, which means you're different. You feel the call. The question is, will you answer it? Will you start tracking your truth today? Chapter 4. The transformation begins 3 weeks in. Master Yamamoto summoned Takashi. You're changing. Students say you're obsessive. They're worried. The master tapped his temple. They're right, but they don't understand why. Your brain is designed for survival, not truth. It lies constantly. The voice saying you're tired is usually lying. The voice saying this is good enough is always lying. Your brain fights consciousness because awareness is dangerous. Dangerous? How? Conscious people see the gap between stimulus and response. Most humans react mechanically. Anger arises, they get angry. Fear appears, they become afraid. No space between feeling and action. No choice, just reaction. Awareness creates space. In that space, power appears. The power to choose you. Response instead of being controlled by automatic patterns. He slid a book across the table. Ancient, worn pages. This is about the immovable mind. It teaches that the mind must flow like water, but stop on nothing. Earth Ring builds this through brain change. 3 weeks of awareness practice rewires your thinking, quiets your reactive patterns. Childhood habits get overwritten. Musashi wrote, today's victory is over the self of yesterday. Yesterday's brain doesn't own today. The person who started Earth Ring, his brain is gone, physically different now. That's why it feels like dying. Yes. Takashi's voice was barely a whisper. Old Takashi is dead. New Takashi isn't born yet. I exist in the space between. Exactly. You exist in transformation. Master Yamamoto stood and walked to the window. Outside, cherry blossoms moved in the wind, each petal falling in its own time, perfect and temporary. The hardest part of Earth Ring isn't the practice. It's accepting that you can never go back. The comfortable lies are gone forever. You'll see other people sleepwalking through life, and you'll remember when that was you. Some days you'll wish you could return to that unconsciousness. But you can't once you've woken up. Sleep is impossible. Takashi nodded. He understood completely. He'd crossed the point of no return. Week 4. Demonstration Day. Today we demonstrate for Lord Taikta. Master Yamamoto announced to the training hall. He decides which training hall to sponsor this year. Your performance determines our survival. Every student's face showed pressure, stress, fear, except Takashi. His face showed nothing. Tracking had become automatic now. Breath count running in the background. Emotional states noted and released. Continuous awareness with no room left for anxiety. Only the present moment, the only moment that existed. Lord Takedo arrived. Powerful, skeptical, bored. He'd seen 1,000 demonstrations, expected nothing new. Students performed their forms, perfect technique, lifeless execution. They moved correctly, but without soul. Lord Takedo looked increasingly disinterested. Then Takashi's turn. He stepped to the center, bowed low, drew his wooden sword. The same movements as the others, but where they performed, he inhabited. Every strike came from total presence. No thought between intention and action. No gap between mind and body. He moved like water flowing downhill. Unstoppable, natural, inevitable. Pure technique transcending thought, becoming expression itself. The training hall fell silent. Lord Takedo sat forward. Again, slower. Even at half speed, the quality remained. Takashi was awake inside every microsecond of movement. Nothing wasted, nothing false, just pure action arising from pure awareness. Who trained you? How long have you studied? Master Yamamoto, my lord. I've been in this training hall for 7 years, but truly conscious for only 4 weeks. 4 weeks. You've only trained seriously for 1 month. No, my lord, I practiced for 7 years, but I was asleep during that practice, thinking about practice while practicing, worried about results while performing. For the last 4 weeks, I practice while practicing. Nothing else exists. The difference isn't skill, it's presence. Lord Takedo studied him with new intensity. You seem very calm, not nervous at all. I notice nervousness, my lord, but I'm not identified with it. The feeling occurs, but I am not the feeling, so it doesn't control my actions. You speak like a monk. I speak like someone who's watched his own mind for 4 weeks straight, my lord. Lord Takedo laughed, a genuine sound that echoed through the training hall. Enlightened or insane? Perhaps both, my lord. You have my sponsorship, all of it. After Lord Takedo left, Master Yamamoto approached Takashi. His face was serious. You passed Earth Ring, but now comes something harder. Water Ring teaches transformation. It requires destroying what you just built. Your new identity, your sense of mastery, all of it must die again. Death is approaching. Tomorrow you learn to flow. But this was only the beginning. Earth Ring had shown Takashi his own unconsciousness. It had built awareness. It had created presence. What he didn't know yet was that presence alone isn't enough. Water Ring would teach him what awareness does when reality fights back. When discipline must adapt or shatter. Earth Ring taught you to see yourself, but seeing isn't enough. The warrior must learn to flow, to adapt, to become water that shapes itself to any container while never losing its nature. Are you ready for the next transformation? The path continues. Will you? To be continued in the way of the warrior, water, fire, wind, and void. This is part 1 of Takashi's journey through the 5 rings. The complete story continues through Water Ring adaptation, Fire Ring transformation, Wind Ring humility, and Void Ring acceptance. Each ring breaks the warrior down and rebuilds him stronger, more conscious, more capable. The path is eternal, the practice never ends, and that's exactly as it should be.